All right, hey everyone, Jeff here at Stop the Pirates, stopblogspot.com. Wow, it's really getting crazy. Probably going to get crazier too. Now we have ice cream trucks coming around neighborhoods giving shots and ice cream cones. I mean, the poor children, I mean, Jesus. It's sad, it's sickening. What I was thinking yesterday is that I'm sure a lot of other generations of children have gone through worse things, and human beings in general have gone through worse things than what's happening to them right now. So I think, the human species will survive, but it's not going to be fun. How does the government pass what seems to be unconstitutional laws and get away with it in the courts? The short answer is they aren't. We simply agreed to these laws as a matter of our right to contract consent. And that is why we're always being asked to sign up for things. They want you to register, submit your application for registration. You break those three words down. You submit and you apply, which means you know what you're applying for, to register, to registrate, to hand over to the king your children, your car, your house, your business, whatever. And you think you own your own business? You don't own your own business because you registered it. The state of wherever you're in owns it. It's called by the consent of the government and is otherwise known as free enterprise, and is what is referred to today as the rule of law, which is nothing more than private contracts between us and the various levels of government. So you see, they aren't passing unconstitutional laws. We're just agreeing to them by our right to consent contract, and that is what free men do. And once you sign, the courts are there to see that all the parties to the contract are honored in it, according to the terms and conditions, not the Constitution or the Bill of Rights. Why? Because private contracts are actually superior to the Constitution itself, because the people already had the right to consent long before the Constitution was written. And in fact, the Constitution upholds this right by forbidding any state from passing any laws impairing the obligation of the contract. So I keep telling people, stop registering to vote. I mean, go ahead and I don't care. If you think your vote means something in this screwed up world, I mean, I mean, if the last presidential election didn't prove to you that it's all a sham, it's all a hoax, it's all a fraud, I don't know what will. And if you think you're on the winning team, that, hey, we got him, we got old Uncle Joe in there, Creepy Joe, and they'll just ram it down your throat. Taxes are going up, price of meat's going up. They're going to take away the meat. They're going to take away the ability to drive a car. I don't know. Eventually, but my point is everything you sign is 100% voluntary. Nobody's putting a gun to your head and saying sign the paper. The last time I was in jail was 10, 15 years ago or something on a resisting arrest. And I did that wrong. I should have, anyway, I ended up spending a few days in jail. Learned my lesson, and but you sit in these, as you go to court, they take you on a bus to the court, and I don't know if they do it this way anymore, but, and you sit there and you wait for your turn, and while you're waiting to go see the Freemason in the black robe, you're sitting there talking to all these other guys that are in for like serious things, And they go in and they come back half hour later and just go, like their whole world is just ended. Goes, yeah, I just signed for 20 years, I just signed for 40 years. See, the thing is that I've heard stories that you don't have to sign for your 20 years. Because they'll ask you, you're hereby sentenced to 20 years in a state correctional facility. Do you understand? Just go, no, I don't understand. Do you accept it? No, I don't accept it. I'll tell you what, I'll give you 1 year and start negotiating with them. And so everything you sign is 100% voluntary. And if it wasn't, you wouldn't be free, are you? I mean, as free as you can get. Most people are unaware that there are two separate and distinct nations in our system of government, and it's your job to understand the differences between the two. The politicians and the judges do not want the distinction to be clear, and in fact, the majority of people in America today are part of the second system. The United States of America, the 50 several states versus the United States federal government plus possessions and territories, those are the two. Republic honors individual rights versus democracy is majority rule or mob rule. Common law is the people's law versus rule of law, contract, statutes, codes, and regulations. Citizens are the people of a state versus resident, alien to the state. I always ask you, where do you reside? Natural rights are absolute, versus immunities and privileges can be regulated. And, you know, of course, you spell your name in all capital letters, it's an artificial corporate entity. They don't tell you that. That's the big one. Laws are written and meant to be understood literally. Otherwise, it is ambiguous and unenforceable. So take great care to know what each and every word means in the lawful sense before you assume you understand any and all statutes, codes, and regulations, not to mention the organic documents that either created and allowed them. For example, many words that you commonly use mean something else in legal terminology. It's called legalese. If you haven't got one already, I highly recommend you get a copy of the Black's Law Dictionary. 6th edition is one I would recommend. All crimes today are commercial crimes. They all have a monetary value attached to them. It's the law of commerce. The law of commerce arose when humans began buying, trading, bartering, and selling goods and services. Today, this law is universal and codified in the Uniform Commercial Code. The law of commerce has been in operation since many thousands of years ago through the Sumerian Babylonian era, where it was codified and enforced. Ancient artifacts dating over 6,000 years old reveal that the system of so-called codified and enforced. Ancient artifacts dating over 6,000 years old reveal that the system was so complex and even included receipts, coined money, shopping lists, manifestos, and a postal system, with the medium being in baked clay. Anyway, some people might not think that any of this is important, but it's important to lay the foundation of groundwork when you start getting into this kind of information. But going back to like the birth certificate, in the year 1933, the Congress handed over control of all the post offices to the Secretary of the Treasury, and this is why the revenue is delivered to the government on April 15th, when the application and certificate of live birth is delivered to the Department of the Treasury in Washington, D.C. That certificate becomes bonded. There is an account produced, which we know as a Social Security number. This means there are funds borrowed against these accounts. They're put up as collateral based on the amount of money you're going to pay in to the collection agency for the International Monetary Fund. And people ask me, Jeff, this big conspiracy with this pandemic, how could they pull it off? How could they get everyone to go along with it? Because all of these countries are in debt to the International Monetary Fund. And they all want their debt paid off, and they're all on the take. I mean, these people have the ability to print money for nothing. How much you want in your account? Mil? 2 mil? Here's 2 mil for you, 2 mil for you, 5 mil for you. Done. It's a done deal. Then they have the jackals that go around if you decide, that you don't want to go along with the program. That president in Africa, he sent in tests. The United Nations sends them tests to test all your people. Here's a plane load of tests. Just start testing people, and then you get the swab and you send it back. And so anyway, he did one on a papaya and a goat, turtle or something. They all came back positive. And, he told his people about it, and he was dead not too much longer, not too much time later. So, yeah, that's how that works. So anyway, there's an account produced with a Social Security number. This means there are funds borrowed against these accounts. The credit approved on paper is then invested in the stocks and bonds. The Bureau of Engraving states that even the Federal Reserve uses the bond number, which is stamped on the certificate of live birth, as it is also stamped on the Federal Reserve notes themselves. Have you seen this? Look at the back of your Social Security card. You'll see an account number. You'll see a letter, right? Let me see if I get that. I've done this to people before, but it's always good to go back over it. See the serial number on there? F. F is for Atlanta. You have 12 letters. There's always 12. 12 Federal Reserve banks in the Federal Reserve System. Look at the back of your Social Security card. It has a serial number just like that. The letter is going to route you back to one of the 12 Federal Reserve banks in the Federal Reserve System that's holding your account. And the account number is, it goes back to a routing number, actually. And you can go on the Federal Reserve website for whatever of the 12 Federal Reserve banks you're in. Just Google it and go to that, and they'll show you try and dig around in there and find the routing numbers for funds receivable. And you could hypothetically use that to do what's called an ACH over the phone. Automated clearinghouse works sometimes. But a lot of people, I think, are finding out now you need to go get a new Social Security card. You're allowed to get 10 of them over your lifetime. And you can just go tell them, hey, I lost my Social Security card, and go down and get a new one. It's going to have a different account and routing number on the back of it. And people are having success in certain situations. It works really good on medical bills for some reason. Where was I? The Bureau of Engraving states that even the Federal Reserve uses the bond number, which is stamped on the certificate of live birth and also stamped on the Federal Reserve notes themselves. The bond number has one letter, A through N, which is followed by 8 numbers. You will notice recently printed Social Security cards are now also printed with the bond number on the back in red ink. Is the fact that every single living, breathing human being in the United States is bonded and used in commercial activities by the corporation of the United States, which has received them. So I say we are all bonded debt slaves until you take back your estate, which they're in control of. And when you register to vote, it hands over authority for them to do that. They now become the administrator of your estate, your debt entity, your name in all capital letters that has unlimited credit, and they're stealing it all. And they're making you pay for it. And as things get worse and worse, as they print more money, things are going to get a lot more restrictive. As you can see, as we move into like a panopticon type prison situation, they're not going to let you move. I mean, you're going into prison, man. That's what it is. There have been IMFs that track commercial activity in the billions attached to the individual's earnings around $50,000 a year. The government is utilizing both their name and their assets to be used to trade in the drug, crude oil, and various other commodities. This just proves that all property, both real and private property, of every living, breathing American is entrusted by Congress to provide collateral for the national debt. The government states that well over 25 million uniform commercial UCC financing statements have already been filed with the UCC offices throughout the United States. The smart people do this. Okay. Everybody's, oh, I'm scared, Jeff. I don't know what to do. I can't figure it out. I can't come out here and show you. I could. People come tell me I'm a scammer and I'm a ripoff. Hey, if I want, I get 10 emails every day going, people offering me money to do their paperwork for them. Okay. Lots of money. I might do it in the future if I if I go down to Mexico or something. I don't know. But I'm not going to be here and waving my flag for the feds to come and get me. They don't want you to know. Oh, this is the government states. Well over 25 million UCC financing statements have already been filed with the UCC offices throughout the United States. Related commercial documents have been forwarded to the Secretary of the Treasury. These facts have been gathered through information acquired through the CID of the IRS, FBI, Secret Service, Justice Department, and the Department of the Treasury and the Secretary of the State. They all have confessed that not one single properly filed UCC form has been turned down or prosecuted under criminal laws. I'll leave it there for today. Anyway, thanks for listening. Go to stopthepirates.blogspot.com. Hit the like button on your way out and subscribe and share. I'd appreciate it. Thanks.